Mü,
and lots more. We're going to set this up and teach people how to play a whole bunch of these mostly trick-taking games that come in Mü and lots more. And Mü and More is the other set's name?
Yeah. Mü and More. We're going to talk about most of the games. We're going to show gameplay footage of most of the games. I think only Calcory is the only one we're going to show a complete game of. Should be able to get through it so that everyone more or less understands what's going on. Mü? Okay, so we're going to be talking about how to play Mü. For the most part, I'm going to be looking at these summary cards while I'm talking about things because there's not really anything relevant to look at while I'm talking about it. So you can be looking at the summary tables. If you don't happen to have these summary tables, then maybe it's helpful to see what the information is on them while I'm going over things. First of all, when you're playing Mü, you're going to be using this deck of cards with the darker back on them. If you're using the Mü and lots more set, that's what it looks like. I'm not exactly sure what the backs of the cards are on the Mü and more set, so probably in that one you just use all of the cards that come with the game. The cards in that deck are going to be the 5 suits, 12 cards, each suit going from 0 to 9, with an extra 1 and 7. So there'll be 60 cards. What is the goal of Mü? Mü is this trick-taking game where it starts out by players bidding a number of cards to determine who is going to be the chief, and there will also be a vice, and they do different things, and the chief will then choose a partner to play with them, and everyone else is playing on their own, or you might say that you're playing against the chief and their partner, but really you're playing on your own. And so it's semi-team based in that regard, and then you do a trick-taking sequence where you will try to get a sum and score it, and the chief and their partner want to get a specific sum based on the player count in the game and based on how many cards the chief bid to become the chief. So that sounds a little complex, and it is. That's what this chart is for, because it kind of refers to number of players in the game, number of cards that you bid to become the chief, number of points you need in sum to consider a round successful for your team. Obviously, it's not really feasible for me to sit here and go over what each of those numbers are for the different player counts and everything, but ideally this information is probably available somewhere. If not, probably contact someone who has a copy of this rulebook and get that chart, because you probably need it to play this game. So you're going to shuffle up the cards, and you're going to deal them face down to everybody evenly. And you're going to start, like I said, with an auction to determine the chief. That is going to be kind of an interesting auction mechanic where you don't have to exceed the current bid. You can kind of pass, and then if it comes back to you, you can get back in on the bidding. You can bid less than what the highest bid is right now, because there's a sort of thing where at the end of the whole bidding phase, you're going to look at who has bid the most number of cards, and they're the chief. And then the second most becomes the vice. And you have this whole other thing that's going on about number of cards that are being bid, because everything you're putting down on the table is public information. So there's a lot going on in the bid phase. So when it's your turn to bid, you can bid as many cards as you want, but the rules say never so many that your total bid is more than 1 card higher than the previous high bid. So that means if you're the high bidder, you could only bid 1 card, which also means that whoever bids first, the dealer, also can only bid 1 card. All the cards that you're bidding are going to stay face up in front of you. You will use them during the round as hand cards, so you're not spending those cards during the bid phase, but you are making them public knowledge for everyone. When someone is trying to become the chief, they will be using that information to decide who they want their partner to be, because they want to have a good set of cards between them and their partner to score their target goal. At the end of an auction, once everybody's done bidding and everybody's passed, you're going to look at who has bid the most cards. That person's going to be the chief. Whoever has the second highest number of cards is the vice. If several people are tied for second, then the one with the highest numbered cards that were played will be the vice. And then you can break tie with second highest numbered card, third highest, etc. I guess it's theoretically possible that you can't get a vice because like everybody's played exactly the same cards, in which case there would just be no vice. You can also have a situation where you don't end up with anyone having the single most number of cards, in which case there would be no chief, and you would have something that's either called a stalemate, or in the older version of the rules it's called an eclat. And at that juncture, everybody who's tied with the most cards will score 5 points for each card they put down. However, whoever among those tied players bid last would lose 10 points for every card they put down instead of gaining 5 points. The hand would end immediately, everyone would score, and then you'd start over and do another bidding phase. That's a thing that can happen. I don't know how often it would happen, but it's a thing. And if everybody just passes and nobody plays anything, that's also a stalemate, but you just like redeal cards and start over. It's kind of a mulligan. So why would you want to be the vice or the chief? So what's going to happen once you're done with the bidding and you've determined who the chief is, who the vice is, if there is a vice? You will look at the vice because they will get to determine what the trump is. When you choose a trump, you choose either a color or a number, and it has to be one of the cards that you placed as a bid card. The vice's thing is that he gets to pick that trump. And then after that has happened, so the chief will then declare another trump, or they can choose to declare no second trump. If the chief chooses a trump, their trump will be higher than the trump that the vice chose, so you have two different trumps, and again, the chief can only choose a trump that is a card that they bid with. Then the chief is going to choose someone to be their partner, and they're going to form a team, and that team is trying to score a sum of cards through the trick-taking that's about to take place, dependent on the player count. Again, you're going to have to reference this chart based on how many people are playing the game and how many cards were bid every single time, because the numbers are not, easily memorizable, I would say, and they vary. Just refer to the chart based on what's going on in your specific situation. Then you're going to actually start the trick-taking. The chief will play one of their cards. They can either take a card that's still hidden in their hand, or from one once it's face up in front of them in their play area, and others will follow in clockwise order. And, normal trick-taking rules apply here. You play the same color if you can. There's this thing here in the rulebook that talks about trump color, which is saying that the trumps that were chosen by the chief and the vice combine to, quote, form a single large color called the trump color. I think what that's saying is just that if the first card played is a trump, then everyone else also has to play a trump. The example they give in the rulebook is that if the number 6 is chosen as trump, red 6 is not a red card, but is of the trump color. Whoever played the highest number of the trick of the color led will win the trick. If one or more played the trump on the trick, then the player played the trump card with the highest number would win. If you've got a tie and several cards with the same number are played, including the trump, the first played is always higher than the later played. In a game with a color and number as a trump, a card with both the color and number of trump is a double trump and higher than all other trump. When the numbers 7 and 1 are trump with a color as the other trump, the 2 are a double trump. I feel like that's probably an uncommon, weird thing to know about, but it's there. Whoever wins the trick starts another trick, and you keep going until all cards that are face up in front of you and cards from your hand have been played, and that will end the round and you'll score. For everyone who's not in the chief's team, they will just score the sum of the values of the cards they took in the tricks. The team of the partner and the chief will add together the sums of their collective cards, and if their total is equal to or greater than their team goal, which is again based on number of cards bid by the chief and the player count, if they reach that goal, then they earn a bonus based on the size of the chief's bid and the type of trump he chose. Hand is worth more bonus points when the chief bid more cards, and when he chose a trump with fewer cards, the chief and partner both score the bonus points shown on the table for achieving that goal. If they fail to achieve their goal, then they'll check the table and find the highest bid that they would have achieved, and then they calculate the difference between that bid and the actual bid, and everybody who's not on the chief's team will score 5 points multiplied by that difference. The chief will lose 10 points multiplied by that difference. The partner just gets no points. They don't lose points and they don't gain points. So everyone is incentivized to try to make the chief and their partner fail to reach that goal, because they will gain points based on how badly they fail to meet that goal, and the chief will lose points. And then, you shuffle all the cards together after recording your score, and if you haven't reached, some predetermined number, the rulebook suggests 200, but, obviously you can play to whatever number you feel like playing to. You would redeal the cards, have a new dealer, and restart that whole process with bidding to see who becomes the chief and the vice, and choosing a partner and all that. And that's how you play Mü. Okay, so in most cases with the games that are in this box, we're going to be explaining them and then showing you some gameplay footage. When it comes to Mü, we couldn't get the proper number of players over in the time that we had to do that. I apologize if my explanation basically comes off as just me reading the rules to you. Hopefully that made sense, and hopefully you have a better understanding of how to play that game.
Okay, this is Nyet. In Nyet, we're going to be playing a pretty standard trick-taking game. We're going to use the standard 60-card deck. To make that, you're just going to remove the green cards from your deck. Additionally, if you're playing with 3 players, you'll need to remove 3 sevens from each color, yellow, blue, black, and red. You'll take that deck of cards, shuffle it up, and deal them out to each player so that each player receives an equal number of cards, and that should leave you with 0 cards left in your deck. You'll also need the Nyet board, the 5-player color cards, and this stack of tokens that we're going to be placing out on our board. If you're playing with any number other than 5, you may need to go ahead and start out by blocking out a couple of these colors. So if we're playing a 3-player game and nobody's going to be brown or green, we'd cover up brown and green to start with. And then we're going to take these tokens that I had out here on the board, and one at a time, starting with the dealer, each player is going to choose one of these squares to block off. And this is going to affect the rules of the trick-taking game that we're about to play. The first column up here is going to tell us which of us is the starting player for this trick-taking game that we are about to start. The second one here is going to tell us how many cards we're going to cash. And cash either means discarding 1 card, discarding 2 cards, discarding 2 cards but neither of them can be a 0, passing 2 cards to the player on our right, or Nyet, which would mean we don't do anything for the cash phase. Then the trump suit can either be red, black, blue, or yellow, or Nyet. There can be no trump suit. The super trump card can be the 0s in any of those 4 suits, or there can be no super trump. And the number of points that we score for each trick that your team takes, and each captured 0, which we'll come back to in a second as we talk about the rules for the trick-taking game. At the end of the round, you're going to add up your number of tricks, add up the number of 0s that your team captures, and they'll be worth this number of points. 1, 2, 3, 4, or -2. So during this rules setting phase of the game, each player, starting with the dealer, is going to take a token and slowly block these off. And say, I don't have any blue 0s, so why would I want blue 0s to be the super trump card? Maybe I don't have very many red cards, so I don't want the red cards to be a trump suit. We're going to go through and place these tokens on the board. I think I'm going to take a bunch of tricks, so I want to make sure that I'm not scoring negative points for them. Go through and place these until there's only 1 left in each row. So we'll be scoring 4 points for each trick. And as you do this over the course of a few rounds of play, with players putting these tokens down, you're going to fill in what the rules will be for this round of Nyet. During the trick-taking phase, it's a pretty standard trick-taking game. If a color is played, you need to try to follow that suit. So if the first player plays blue, you need to try to follow blue. A higher value card will take the trick, unless it's the super trump.
Otherwise, what happens with zeros here, if they aren't the super trump, if you capture or take the trick with an opponent's zero, so not a zero played by someone who's on your team, you're going to take this and it's going to score separately as if it was another trick that your team took, effectively. So if this was a hand where I had played this 9 and my opponent played this red 0, which is not a super trump color, then I'm going to capture this. The trick is going to count as 1 that we've captured, and we've got 1 captured 0. So 1 trick taken, 1 captured 0. In our board state over here, each of those would be worth 4 points. If you have a situation where more than one player plays the same card, the last card played of that value or of that trump, if it's the trump or the super trump card, becomes the leading card. This becomes the card that's on top, and this player is going to take this trick if these cards were in a trick together. After you finish your round, you just remove these tokens from the board and play passes to the person who was to the left of the dealer. So if I was the person who started putting these tokens on the board the last time, the person to my left is going to start instead, and I'll be the last person to place tokens on the board. Just going back and forth, one at a time, going around the table. For scoring in Nyet, if you're playing with 2 or 4 players, in the 2-player game, you're each scoring separately. In the 4-player game, you're going to score as teams. So whoever ends up being the starting player on the board here will get to choose who the teams are. The 4-player game, each player is just going to add up their score, and then the 2 teams collectively score. So if player A and player B are both on the same team, then they just add their scores together, and that's what they each score. It gets a little complicated if you have an odd number of people, just because you're going to add in this dragon card mechanic. What's going to happen here is the start player in the 3-player game will either choose to play by themselves and double their score, which will mean they take this dragon card to indicate that. And the other players will play as a team against them, or join a team with one of the other players and give one player this dragon card to score double points on theirs. In the 5-player game, the start player does the same thing. You're playing teams of 3 against a team of 2 in the 5-player game. The start player is going to either keep or give one player this card, and that player will score double points for the team with 2 players, which they're one of the members of. That's Nyet. You just add up those points. In the 2 and 4-player games, you'll play 8 rounds. In the 3-player game, you play 9 rounds. And in the 5-player game, you play 10 rounds. Add up your scores on paper individually each round with whichever team you score. And then each player just totals up their score separately at the end of the game.
Nyet.
Okay, let's Nyet.
Right. So we've dealt out our cards.
Yeah.
You were the dealer, so you get to choose the first Nyet.
I am going to Nyet blue.
Okay, blue is not the trump.
Neither is red.
Okay. Yellow.
Oh.
We're just going to burn all the Nyets.
Neither's black.
Okay, so there's no trump.
No trump.
No trump color.
Well, that seems like the way it should be. All right. Ryan?
Let's see here. What do I got?
You want to mess with the cash? Do you want to super trumps?
I'm going to mess with the super trumps.
Oh, red 0 is not a super trump.
Sorry.
That's fine. Just gonna have no super trump either. I don't know why I would care about starting player.
The starting player gets to choose if they're on a team or if they're playing solo.
And it's the whoever scores the most collective tricks.
Yeah. If you play single, if you're playing by yourself, you just double your tricks at the end.
Okay.
Your score.
So either no. Okay. So whoever has that black sign, then Brian's got that black.
I think
zero.
I have one.
Oh, okay. All right. Single. Oh, we gotta do something. Gotta use that mechanic.
Make it so we can't get negatives.
Oh, I was hoping for it. Oh, we just end the round with negative points. That one. Oh. Don't want to be able to discard zeros, eh? Or you want to be able to discard zeros. Alright, so we have to discard 2 cards before we start.
I believe you mean cash 2 cards. Here, you're going to quadruple your score.
This game's going to be the highest scoring game yet. Oh, the power.
Oh, I won't be the start player. Oh, no, I have no choice in this matter.
I guess I'll be the start player.
Oh, do you want to be on a team or do you want to play by yourself?
I guess I'll be on a team with you.
With me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll play by yourself.
Sorry, Brian. So what do I do with this dragon? Do I give it to Brian?
Yeah, he's the solo
You're
player,
by yourself,
so
Brian.
that means he's doubling his score.
Put this out here so you know that you're the dragon. All right, so I'm the start player, and now we're just doing. We got to discard, two.
Discard 2 cards, and you can discard anything.
Oh, it can even be zeros, huh?
Can even
Yeah,
be
because we did not keep that
zeros,
as
so
the because Rob was not into that one. Wonder why. Yeah,
probably
bunch
because
of
I have a
zeros.
ridiculous number of zeros, and you guys blocked out all the ones where I could have used them as super trumps.
Discarded. All right. So now we're just trying to. But like, zeros are worth something. Like
To the other team, like you and I don't want zeros, because if he captures our zeros, he gets points.
but if we capture his zeros, we'll get points.
If we capture his zeros, we get points. But if you capture my
can't
zeros, you
capture
get
each other's
nothing.
points. Yeah. All right. I see. So Brian's got all the zeros.
I mean, who knows?
All right. So I'm gonna lead off a suit. And there's no trumps.
Yeah, it's just that black 0 super trump.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna get a feel for where we're at with things. I'm just gonna put this out there.
How the heck do I play a 0 and not give it to you?
It would have to be a super trump 0.
Yeah, so the black 0.
Or it would have to be a 0 off suit.
Okay. It's yours. 1. It's 4 points.
If it's a 0 offsuit, you don't capture it?
No, you would capture it.
I guess, yeah, it would still...
So you just don't want to play
Yeah, you just
zeros,
never want to be
I
playing
guess.
zeros, I guess.
Who knows?
I'll just give you my zeros now. Then.
Basically, yeah.
All right, Brian.
Let's see.
Oh, that yellow 9. Enjoy that yellow 1 there.
I got a suit.
Yeah,
or a
that's
trick.
worth 4 points.
That's worth 4
We're
points.
tied. Yeah, because it's quadruple.
It's number of tricks, so...
Alrighty.
Actually, that's 8 points for you, because you're playing by yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, his score is doubled?
Yeah.
All right.
Alright. Okay. I think I know what I can do with
Are you
that.
going to lead us off with a 0?
Well, I'm trying to figure out the way to use it and not lose it.
I don't think there is one. But
The only way to
There's-
use it and not lose it is if you
If I lead
lead
with
it into a suit, and it's a suit that we don't have any of that color.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you'd have to, like...
I'd have to really run you down.
Yeah, you'd have to really run us down on things for us to not be able to do it.
Nailed it.
Now we're tied up, 8-8.
Oh no. No more yellows?
I don't have yellows.
Ooh, I'm taking your 0 then.
Okay. I was hoping that you also didn't have yellows.
Alright, so that's by itself.
Yep, so you now have
3.
24 points.
Oh, hold on.
Right?
3 times 4 times 2.
No, 8, 8, and 8. So yeah, 24.
Alrighty. Let's do this.
Super trump that.
Nice. Nice. We're going to get rid of that 0. Well, so keep... Those zeros are not...
They don't worth anything.
Yeah,
you
so
can't
just
capture
keep them
all
with your trick.
zeros.
Yeah, so just keep them with your trick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Off to one side.
Good.
Now we have 24. Best TV show. Number 1. Best Kiefer Sutherland TV show.
Okay.
What's he in now? He's in something
He
else.
is in some other TV show now. Oh.
Whatever, I'll just super trump it.
Oh.
Oh, no more reds. Okay.
Alrighty.
Enjoy those.
Yay.
And it's a trick, like... It's 8 points.
Alrighty. Ah, I should have.
You got super trumped. You're going to take the long way home.
Oh, those are the 2 cards that I cashed.
Yeah.
I was like, what are these?
Just because that's not
Yeah.
in the game.
Just threw me off for
Is
a
that the same
second.
for these? These are out?
Yeah, those are out.
I'm going to do this.
Right?
Black 9.
I'll do this. Well, Bryan wins by a lot.
Yeah. Like, can't really help it if all
No,
of my cards
like-
all of my cards were red.
Yeah,
So-
I had really low cards. Like, I had just a ton of 1s and 0s, and... Like, the 2 that I discarded were 2 yellow 0s. 5, 6, 7...
So you have
80. I got 9 tricks and a captured 0.
Okay.
Yeah. And we have 7 times 4.
Nyet.
Yep.
Okay, so these are the things you're going to be using if you're going to be playing Sticht. You're going to have 36 cards in this deck that are numbered 1 through 9 in 4 colors. You're going to have these number and color trump cards that are their own separate decks. And you will have these goal cards here. And this monster card, which is only really used to determine, you pass it back around to see who is sort of the first player to do something in a specific turn. In Sticht, you're going to be doing trick-taking and trying to accomplish these goals. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to set up all of these goals out on the table, and starting with whoever the dealer was, you're going to pick one of the goals, and each player in turn order chooses a goal until everybody has 4. These goals are going to be the things that you're doing over the course of the game. They're things like win the majority of tricks, or take the last trick, or score no yellow cards but take at least 1 trick, things like that. So you're going to have a sort of drafting phase over determining which goals you want to be pursuing over the course of the game. Once those are out of the way, you're going to be setting up these cards into 9 rows of 4 each. And also you're going to take this deck of colors and this deck of numbers and shuffle them up. And whoever the start player is going to look at these cards. Whatever is on the bottom is going to be what the trump card is for this round. Also, in both of these decks, there's 1 card that is no color and 1 card that is no number. So you could theoretically have no trump. So after everyone's chosen their goals, the start player will look at whatever the bottommost card on this deck is, blue, and they'll look at whatever this is, no number. So they know that blue will trump anything during the trick taking for this round. Then all of these cards are dealt out into a 9x4 grid, and starting with the player to the left of the dealer, who will take this monster card to show that they are the first person selecting a card, they will you'll choose from each row individually. So say that a row, the start player would select this one, and then the second player would take this one, third player would take this one, and the fourth player would take this one. And then the start player would look at the 4 cards that were taken, and they would tell the players which one of those would win in that specific trick, in which case it would be, in this circumstance, this blue 3, because blue is the trump. Otherwise, normal trick-taking rules would apply where, the highest number would win. In the circumstance where if you had no number and no color, you would treat it as whoever is holding the monster card played the first card. So normal trick-taking rules would be that would be the leading suit. So the first player selected this yellow 9, so he would have won that trick if blue was not the trump, because yellow 9 would have been the leading suit. So theoretically from this, all players will gain some information about what card might be the trump number or trump color. The monster card will pass to the next player to the left, and they will be the first person to choose from the next row of cards. And we'll go through the process again where after everyone has picked their 4 cards, the start player will inform people who would win in that specific trick. You keep doing that until everybody has drafted all of the cards. At that juncture, the start player will reveal what the 2 trumps are. And everyone will go, oh, or yeah, I knew that. And at that juncture, everyone is going to be choosing one of their goal cards to be what they're trying to do with their hand of cards that they've drafted. So if you've drafted up some cards and you think that you did not gather any information correctly at all, and you had no idea that blue was going to be the trump, and you have no blue cards, you might try to go for no tricks and not win any tricks in this round. So everybody's going to secretly select one of their 4 goals that they are trying to do over the course of the game. The start player does not get to choose one of his 4 goals. Instead, he is trying to achieve someone else's goal that they select. Basically, the way it is you're going to do the trick taking and get through that round and see if anybody completed their goals. And anyone who did not complete their goals, that goal becomes a candidate for the start player to try to complete that goal instead. We're going to show you gameplay footage of us doing this so you'll see how this works. If that sounds complicated, it's not really complicated. It's just kind of interesting because it means that the start player has to be more flexible in terms of what he's trying to accomplish, because he's looking at what the other people are trying to accomplish and try to block them while simultaneously doing the thing that they are trying to do. The goal of the game, you want to be the first to score all 4 of your goal cards. And if you are the start player and you succeed in scoring someone else's goal, then you would choose one of your goals to discard instead of, obviously you can't discard their card. So you would choose one of the ones that you want to get rid of and discard it instead. So basically the first player to discard 4 goal cards is going to be the winner. If you're playing with 3 players, then it's the same as 4-player game. You're going to have, 4 rows of 4 cards each. It's just that the last card that doesn't get picked by someone will always go off to a dummy player. And then all of those dummy cards at the end of the whole drafting phase will just get dumped and put back in the box. Okay. So take a function card.
Okay.
If you're going to be the person who's looking at the deck, you're the star player.
I'll be the person who looks at the deck. I guess I'm going to take no blue cards. No black cards.
Last trick.
I'll take a last trick also.
No tricks.
These have numbers on the back.
This says the numbers are pointless because they're cards that are used for that other game we've just played. The least tricks.
I'll take exactly 4.
Die meisten Stiche.
Exactly 3.
No red cards.
The least. Most, least, no tricks, no black.
No yellow.
Okay. All of these are gone.
Yep. Dumped.
I get to look at the bottom of each of these while you set up
Yeah, so those
4x9 grid.
Alright, I'll take this yellow 7.
Okay.
Blue 9.
Okay. I'll take this yellow 9. I won that trick.
Okay. Red 5.
I'll take this yellow 6.
Blue 7.
I won that trick.
Okay, now you choose first.
I'll take this blue 8.
Red 1.
Black 9.
You win that trick.
Brian chooses first.
Black 8. I'll take this red. Oh, sorry.
That's fine. Well, I'm gonna take the red 6.
I'll take this red 7. Brian won that trick.
I don't
Wait,
think it's
is
information
this
you can track.
is this the
That's the
is
dragon.
this the
That's the
dragon?
dragon.
Yeah.
It's the dragon. It's the dragon. Yeah.
What?
I want this. He's gonna win that. I'm gonna win that trick. I'm gonna win that trick.
Okay, well, you just made it worse for us, but alright, that's fine.
Yeah, because I picked last.
I'm gonna take this black 4.
I'll take the blue 5.
I'll take this red 4. Either Sean or I won that trick. There's no way of knowing.
There's no way of knowing. Alright, well, you're choosing first.
I've completely lost track of this.
Like,
And
you
I'm
have
the
all the information.
I know, I'm the
that's
person who
baffling
has
that
the
you
information.
Don't know what you're doing.
I'm taking this red 8.
This black 2.
Well, you gotta reserve that review judgment until blue 2, I guess.
I won that trick.
What color did you take? What was the card you
Took a red 8.
Red 8.
Alright, Brian.
Ooh. Alright, well, I'll take this yellow 8.
Black 7.
I'll take this blue 6. Brian won that trick.
Alrighty.
Is that me?
No. Black 3.
I'll take this yellow 4.
Ooh, I think you won this trick. I'll take this yellow 3.
I won this trick.
Okay. Red 9. You're first.
Yeah. I'll take this yellow 5.
Take the yellow 1.
Black 5.
I won this trick.
Okay. It's yellow, 4.
All right.
Well, I'm glad that at least Bryan got the clues.
Well,
so-
I was doing fine until you went, oh wait, I just did everything wrong. And
It was just
like,
because-
well, all information is lost now.
It's just because I was like, wait, what did he just do? Oh, he got a blue 4. Like, why didn't I take the 4?
So I was like, okay, well, everything is, he just, I don't know. Like, you switched a car with a dragon. I went, okay, I don't understand what's happening anymore.
It's just like, I just realized, like, oh, I just picked up a stupid card.
Could have just picked up a stupid card as a bluff.
It's true.
But instead, you made it confusing for me and made me lose. Thanks.
You're
All right.
welcome.
So, yellow and 4 are the trumps. 4 is a higher trump than yellow.
Yeah.
Now, we would choose our goals simultaneously.
Yeah, and then you'll reveal them. And then Bryan will play the first card.
Revealing.
Yeah.
Taking the most.
No yellow cards, but at least one trick. Which is probably not going to work out for me, but...
Black 2. Do we need to scoot the
No,
yellow
fine.
4 out of the way?
No, it can stay there so people know what's going on, and we've got plenty of room on the table for things to happen. Yeah. 3.
So you're trying to win the most tricks,
Yeah.
Majority of tricks.
and you're trying to get no yellow cards.
Huh.
Okay. I guess I'm going to take this trick.
And then the thing you can do at the end of it is one of the things that we didn't accomplish, or is it one of our goals that we didn't select?
No, one of he's
I
going
think it's
for
one
of
of
these
those two is what I'm trying to get, I think.
But it's it doesn't matter if someone else also like try to do it, or
No, we have to have failed.
You have to have failed it for me to succeed at it.
Okay.
Ready. Red one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
It's yours.
Okay. These
I think
are
you just,
the wrong
yeah,
cards.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
And we have to stay with suit if we can't. Right?
Yeah. Otherwise, it's a normal trick-taking game, except for this stuff. You took at least one. No yellow cards.
No yellow cards.
So you take that. Take that.
You should be keeping your tricks separate.
Yeah,
I know it's always 4 cards, but like
It's always 3, but yeah.
Yeah.
I usually do, and just was not that time because I'm dumb. Okay. Unexpected. I didn't realize that you had no yellow cards over there. Yeah, I know.
Well.
No.
Are you incapable of getting your thing now? Now that we
Yeah,
Think so.
because I have 4, so
Okay.
he could tie me for it, theoretically.
I guess we're gonna find out.
Yeah.
Blue 6.
Yeah.
And
It's gonna happen. No, I win because I have a 4.
Yeah, and then
No, it comes to me. My 4
Yeah,
trumps you.
yeah,
so
your
I
4
don't
wins.
Win my goal
yeah, okay.
just because of the random 1 card I had in my hand.
I complete your goal that you did not complete.
Yep. So
So you get to discard one of your goals.
Yeah,
And I
so
keep that.
I scored 1.
But I keep that card and you discard one of your goal cards.
So that is, and then we would
Then we would do the
start
whole
over.
thing over,
Yeah.
except we wouldn't do function cards. So we'd shuffle, deal out 4x9,
get a new color. And
get a new
number.
color thing. I think
I think instead of 4x9, you should just deal out 4 cards, and then pick one, and then deal out 4 cards and pick one.
Okay, well, that is one round of Wash Sticht.
Okay, this is Meinz. Meinz is a reverse trick-taking game. In this one, you're going to need the cards that are numbered 1, 2, and 3 on the backs. These will be the flip side of the formula cards. If you're playing with 3 players, you'll need a card monster card also. You're going to shuffle up the deck, and you're going to deal 9 cards to each player. If you're playing with 3 players, so you need the card monster also gets cards. Of these 9 cards that the player has received, they're going to discard one of them and return it face down to the box. There are then 8 tricks, and you'll play 8 rounds. In Meinz, each player can only take 2 tricks. And you're going to follow a procedural order each time you play a trick. The first player plays a card. And then the first player has the opportunity to claim the trick, to say, Meinz. This is my trick, it's mine. If the first player doesn't do that, then the second player can play a card. In Meinz, the trick will be taken by the lowest card that has been played. When the second player plays his card, he can claim the trick by calling Meinz. If the second player does not do so, the first player now has the opportunity again to call Meinz and claim this trick. The third player then plays a card and has the opportunity to claim the trick and call Meinz. If the third player passes, the second player can claim the trick. If the second player passes, the first player can claim the trick. The last player in turn order plays their card. The last player cannot claim the trick. They do not get the opportunity to claim Meinz. Everyone else has passed. The lowest played card takes the trick. Now, once you've taken a trick, you can exchange one card from the trick for a card of the same color in your hand. So, our player who took this could swap this 1 for an 8. You only get to take 2 tricks in Meinz of these 8 that are going to happen each round. At the end of the round, each player adds up the value of the tricks they've taken. Whoever scored the highest sum scores 3 points and takes a 3-point card. Whoever scores the lowest sum takes a 2-point card. Whoever scores the second highest takes a 1-point card. The fourth player, whoever wasn't highest, second highest, or lowest, gets nothing. At the end of 8 rounds of play, you total up your point cards that you've taken. Whoever has the highest total of points wins Meinz.
The dragon plays the first card.
Okay.
Is that Mü.to?
Oh, that's going to be tough to beat.
I mean, it is a low card.
We have to follow suit?
Yeah, or you can play a 2.
Oh, that's true.
I'll play this blue 1. So it's a pretty low card.
I guess I'm going to play this blue 3.
Yay.
So I win. Because I have the
Yeah,
lowest
because
number.
you have the lowest number.
Yeah. Okay. Now that I've won that trick, I can swap something in my hand with something I took, and I will show you guys what I
Yeah.
swapped. So I am going to decline the swap, because I think I know what I'm doing here.
Okay.
So no swapping.
Okay.
And also, we could have taken turns saying mines, but like
Yeah.
I didn't feel inclined to do that.
Neither did I.
Like it seemed like that was not something I wanted to do. So now I start the next one, and I can only take one more trick this round.
Yeah.
So I'm going to drop this red 3. I want to make sure that the card monster
I think he's going to play last.
plays last. Yeah. So at any point between us, like I could yell mine. So I'm not going to yell it now. I'm not going to yell it. I'm still not going to yell it. You have the option to keep,
Oh. Okay.
So I won that.
So you won that, yeah. You take it.
Okay. So do I want to swap anything? I'll swap this black 4 for this black 9. Right. Oh, that's me again. I can't take any more tricks. So I can't yell mines. Assuming you still do not want to yell mines.
Like, do I?
I mean, I don't know. Do you want to take that trick? You
want high value cards, right?
Or you want low value cards, like...
Oh.
You make an estimation of how many cards... You saw what cards I took, so you make an estimation if you think I'm...
I did not pay attention to what cards you took.
Well, you gotta pay attention to what...
Mines!
Okay, well, then you're going to win this.
Then I was already going to win it anyway, but...
Well, you got that, too. Actually...
I guess he would have won that
if
I hadn't yelled mines, so...
Yeah.
Okay.
You gotta be on top of it if you want to yell mines. So you could play one card. Oh yeah, do you want to swap any of those?
Swap?
Yeah, so if you want to swap that 2 out with another yellow card, you could.
No.
Yeah, you can swap out a yellow card basically because you just took all yellows.
Okay.
All right. So you can play one card and yell mines and automatically get that trick. But you don't know what else is going to be in the trick.
I don't care. Mines!
Okay, so...
Looks like you're going high.
Looks like he's going high, even though I think that those cards should be buried after he takes them. But the dragon throws that in there, and
Okay, I'm gonna swap this 4 with this 9.
Okay, so you can no longer take any more tricks like me. It's down to you and the dragon, Brian.
Alrighty.
Well, he goes first. He plays. He starts the trick. Oh. So you can play a 1 or a red.
No more reds in my hand.
And yours would win right now because yours was played after his.
Mine?
Yeah, you win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do I yell mines? And automatically win this trick.
No, I'll wait.
Alright.
Ooh. That looks even more tempting.
Yeah, I mean, like, you can do it between
I can
everyone.
yell mines.
Okay, well, you yelled it, so that's fine. You win. Okay, and now the dragon automatically wins the next 2. Oh, you know why we have an extra card? We were supposed to remove one and put it back in the box before we started. But I also would have never played this card, so that's probably why we removed. Which was the same as what you had. We both had a 5 that we never played, because, like, playing a card in the middle is, like, the least optimal thing to do. Okay. So. Find out what our sums are. My sum is 27.
51.
44.
And
Okay, so...
hold on.
Dragon.
Yeah, I've got to count it up. 46 is what the dragon has. So I have the lowest.
Mm-hmm. So what do you get for lowest?
I get a 2-point card.
That's right.
Who had the highest?
I did.
So you get a 3-point card. And then what was your score?
44. Second lowest.
Yeah, so you get nothing. And
The dragon gets nothing.
He's second highest, so he gets a 1-point card.
Oh, dragon.
Yep. That is a single round of mines, and you would play that 8 times.
Ooh. Thrilling.
The only thing we did not do correctly is that you're supposed to everybody discard a card from their hand out of the game before you start.
And we would have just discarded our 5s.
I mean, yeah, that was, and we all had a 5 that we would have discarded, so that's exactly what we would have done. So it didn't. I don't think it had any impact on what happened. Okay, so with Safarü, you're going to start out by dealing 4 cards to each player, and then additionally, you're going to put 4 cards out on the table. You're referring to this section out on the table as the Wild. You are trying to, in this game, capture cards, and you want to get specific types of cards, and I'll just go ahead and tell you what types of cards you're looking for before we even start. You're trying to get the most blue, not the most yellow. You don't want to get any zeros, and then everything else, you're just getting points for the number of triangles you end up capturing. So, mechanically, what's happening here? Beginning with the player to the left of the dealer, everybody's going to take a turn consecutively. You have to play a card out on the table into the Wild. And there are 3 methods of catching cards. You could add, total, or pair. Adding, like, you could play a card, and these 2 cards add up to this card, so I would capture these 2 cards and release the card that I played back into the Wild. I could have chosen either of these 2 7s in that case, but because I'm trying to get the most blue, I wanted this one. You can do pairing, where if you have a card that's number matches some other card that's out there, you would take one of them and score it with your own card. So again, I would choose this blue 7 over the black 7 because the black 7 is meaningless, but the blue 7 is most blue cards, so I want that. So if I'm doing pairing, I would just play the 7 down and take both cards and score them. And the last thing you could do for catching is total, which is adding up cards so that they equal a total of 17. So in this case, it'd be 9 plus 7 plus 1 equals 17. And this one would be another case where I would take the cards that are part of that total. The card I played goes back into the Wild. I score these 2 cards. Now, the exception to what I just did with both adding and totaling is that if there's ever a 0 out on the table, when you catch cards through adding or totaling, you have to take the 0 as well. Remember, you don't want zeros, so that's not great, but that's just the rules. If you do adding or totaling, you have to take a 0. So you might be inclined to try to do pairing if you can avoid adding or totaling. Also, you can do up to one of each of those methods during your turn. So you could add, then total, then pair. You can kind of like try to chain things together and make it so you can capture the most cards as possible on your turn. If you're unable to catch a card or you choose not to, you can release a card into the Wild. You can't release a card if it would allow another card to be caught. So, it's usually someone's just putting a card out there if they can't do anything else on their turn. After you do this for 4 rounds, everybody's going to have no more cards in their hand, and you'll deal 4 more cards to each player. Deal 4 more cards face up on the table. I don't believe that we did that in our gameplay footage. We kind of just kept releasing cards until there were cards out there to be caught again. I'm not sure that it makes that much of a difference, but technically I think what you're supposed to do is at the start of every round, when everyone's getting 4 new cards, you deal 4 more out to the center of the table. And once there are no more cards to be dealt, that's the end of the game. You're going to look at everyone's cards that they've taken. The player with the most blue cards gets 24 points. Player with the most yellow cards loses 12 points. Every 0 is worth negative 5 points. And then every triangle on the cards you caught are worth 1 point each. If anybody has the same number of blue or yellow cards, then they will split those bonus points equally between them. And it tells you to play to a previously agreed score. You could probably just, play a single game of it and be fine. You can also do something called reverse Safarü. where you try to release as many animals as possible instead of capturing them. And in this case, you want low points. The exception to the rules here is that when you could catch wild cards using more than one method, the player to the left of the player who played the card would decide which method is used. My kind of instinct is to feel like that would just take longer, and it's not necessarily a better game, but it's, an option. You can play the game in the opposite way. If you're playing reverse Safarü, then the player team with the most cards in total would get 24 points. Player team with the most yellow cards gets 12 points, and then every triangle is worth 1 again. The rules also say that you're supposed to play, if you've got 4 players, you're supposed to play this in teams. If you're playing 2 or 3, you play as individuals. I don't see why you couldn't play as 4 individuals, but it seems to indicate that the preferred method, if you have 4 people, is to play a team game of Safarü. You dealt the cards, right? So I guess I start, and I'm trying to... I'm going to do totaling, which is going to... Well, all of this totals up to 17. So I can catch the table cards and put them face down in front of me, and that's it.
And your 5 would stay out there? Your 5 is one of the cards you score.
No, I score all of it if you do the totaling method.
Okay.
So that means that on your turn, you're just going to have to release a card into the wild.
Great.
Yep.
I'm so excited.
Well, I mean, the bad news is that I didn't want these. I didn't want the 0 because that's negative 5 points for me. But whatever. I'm just showing that that's how totaling works. I added up to 17. So
I just discard a card to there.
Yep.
That's it. That's all I can do.
Yeah, you release a card.
This game is great.
Huh?
Is that pretty much my option too?
Well, no, you could pair if you can play something with the same number as one or more of the cards on the table, and you could, if you
swap it.
No, like if you played.
If I had a 2, I could pair it up with his 2.
And score both of them.
I don't have a 2.
Sorry.
Well, that sounds like you're releasing a card. Release 0.
So play this 2 and take these 2s.
Yep. Yeah, so you're pairing, so you don't have to take the 0.
Okay.
But if you're doing adding or totaling, you would have to take a 0 with that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So I have to do this and pair these. If I think that's correct. That's I score these and I don't want them, but I have them.
Okay, so then I add these.
Well, that was adding, so the 8 stays on the table. The card you played to score those stays out. Yep. Can you do something with that 8?
Not really.
Can you do something with any of those numbers?
No. But now nobody can do the adding up thing because it's already over 17.
Well, it wouldn't matter because, yes, nobody could total a total of 17. Well, one or more of the cards on the table. So,
So you could say, 7 plus 8 plus this 2 in my hand is...
Right. So
17.
that's... You can't do that with your 4, can you?
No, not them.
Okay. Well,
So.
then...
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at that juncture, then we would each get 4 more cards and keep doing that, and then count up who had the most of the things. And that's how you Safarü.
Okay, this is The Last Panther. The Last Panther is a pretty standard trick-taking game. You're going to use the normal deck. With certain player counts, you're going to remove cards. In the 3-player game, you'll remove all the 1s and 2s. If you're playing this with 7 or 8 players, you'll remove all the 2s except for the yellow 2 you want to leave in the game. Once you've set up your deck, you're going to shuffle up your deck of cards and deal these out so that each player receives an equal number of cards. It's a standard trick-taking game. There are no trump cards in it, so each player is going to play a card. You have to try to follow suit if possible. The highest played card in the starting suit takes the trick. The special rules in The Last Panther are that you don't want to take every trick. At the end of the round, the player who takes the last trick is going to get plus 50 points. If any player has taken every yellow card, that player receives plus 5 points. If any player has taken every red card, that player is going to get minus 10 points. If any player has taken every black 7 in the deck, that player will receive negative 50 points. The game continues until one player reaches negative 200. At that point, whoever has the highest score wins the game.
So, knowing that,
good.
and I don't think there's any other special rules. I think otherwise it's a trick-taking game. We have to pass cards, 3 cards.
Yeah,
to
you're passing 3 cards to your left-hand neighbor.
And I don't think there's any trumps in this either. I think it's just...
No, there's none.
Yeah.
Must follow suit if you're able. The highest card in the lead suit wins the trick.
Yeah. Okay. Well, passing cards to my left.
Is a 0 high or low?
Low. I think. We're going to say it's low. For this game, we're going to say it's low.
Here you go, have those 3.
You can have those 3.
Oh, I'm so excited. Can't wait. Oh, those are like the same ones I gave away.
Okay, Last Panther. Here we go. I'm trying to, not get the black 7s, not get all the yellows, get all the yellows, not get all the reds. That's it.
Yeah, and then do the very last trick. You want to?
That's right. The last. So someone will get points for the last trick.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're gonna kick this off.
Oh.
Well, 0.
Oh.
Let's see here. Oh, can beat it with less than that. There we go.
All right. Well, it looks like you did that.
All right.
Oh, enjoy those 3 blue cards.
Looks like they do nothing for me.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's not a...
That's nothing. Yeah. Do you lead the next trick now, does it say? Or
Yeah, I do.
That would be normal.
I mean, that would be normal, but like there are all sorts of...
Ooh, some green.
All right. Let's see your green.
I'll go ahead and...
Oh.
These green cards.
Oh, man, more blue 0s.
I know.
Have more of the blues.
Oh, that's mine.
That's you, yeah.
All right. Let's see what I got here. Might as well get all the blues I can.
Oh. Yeah, I'll let you walk away with that. Oh. Someone is out of blues.
Alright, let's make it interesting now. You want to get all of them so you can get positive 5 points.
Oh, man. That yellow 4 is calling to me. Oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah. Starting these yellows right. Man, I don't know.
3.
Okay. Sure.
Excited for those greens. So what do you guys think about trick-taking games in general?
I like them in general.
Yeah, that one's yours. Hope you enjoy that Black 7.
Oh, shoot.
That's a diversion. What do you think about trick-taking games, Black?
I think trick-taking games are pretty fun. Ah, son of a... Oh.
I want it. I want it so bad.
Oh, too bad, kid.
One of these days I'll win a trick.
How about... Let's see what yellows you guys got.
Well, that's the best yellow.
I know. Give me some good yellows. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. How about some more of those yellow cards, you guys? Any more yellows?
Crap. I think I saw something on... If 2 cards of the same value are played in a trick, then the first played wins.
Uh-oh. Sounds like a real shame over there.
Uh-oh.
Oops. How about some black cards? Oh.
Hey, I didn't get every black 7.
Yeah. He stopped me from giving you all the black 7s.
Blue. Oh, here, have this nice red 7. Ooh.
Okay. So it was like all the reds? Was that the other thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
If you get every red card, you're getting -10.
You've already taken a red.
I've taken 1 and you've taken 1.
So
So,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
so the only... Yeah, you're getting +5, right? You got all the yellows?
I mean, we'll see.
I mean, so far I have a bunch of yellows.
I don't think there's any more. Black 7. Well, it doesn't matter now because...
No.
All right. Well, there's that. Black 7. All right, I'm gonna do that.
Oh!
Ooh, taking it. So I could do this.
Well, I'm not getting all those yellows.
Oh! Burns! Burns so bad.
If I'd known that there were not more yellows out there, I would have been playing these yellows, but...
So I get the last trick,
Yep.
For +50.
and then nothing else scores.
Nothing else.
Nothing
happens,
else
yeah.
scores. So we've moved no farther to somebody getting
Negative
-200.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that is one round of the Last Panther.
Yep.
And I would say
That's
we
enough.
can move on. Okay, so Wimmüln is going to be a trick-taking game where players are going to sort of both publicly and secretly declare how many tricks they're going to try to take over the course of the round, and then they'll score points whether on which of those goals they achieve, and we'll get to scoring in a second. But basically, you guess how many tricks you're going to take at the start of the round, and then you score if you successfully guessed. In terms of preparing for this game, if you're playing with 3 players, you need to remove 2 color suits from the deck. Otherwise, with all their player counts, you just leave the deck as it is, and then you will shuffle all the cards together and deal them out equal to all players. Whoever the dealer is will take the last 2 cards that they dealt to themselves and turn them face up for all to see. The trump suit will be the lower valued of those 2 cards. So if those are the last 2 cards that the dealer dealt to themselves, then the trump suit would be red. If both of the cards are the same number or color, then there are no trumps for the round. The dealer would then return the lower valued 2 cards to their hand, and the other one will be the first card that they are playing to start the first trick. If there are no trumps, the dealer will look at their hand and decide which of those 2 cards to leave out on the table. So next thing you're going to do is each player is going to look at their hand, and they're going to lay 2 cards in front of them in a cross. These 2 cards will be the number of tricks they think they are going to take over the course of the round. So you might choose, 4 and 2. Why not? So you're doing this secretly, and you are saying if this is what you're going to be playing in front of you, that you might win either 2 or 4 tricks during the round. What you'll then do, like I said, you're going to put them in a cross, and you are going to reveal the top one simultaneously. Everyone will do that. Once everyone has their cards in front of them like this, trick taking will happen. Again, this is the first card of the first trick, and you'll go around playing and finish out the round that way. Once you're done taking tricks, everyone's going to get a score that's the number of triangles on the cards that they've taken. So this is worth 1 triangle. And in addition, they'll get a bonus if they manage to correctly guess how many tricks they're going to take. If the number you end up successfully taking is equal to the lower of your 2 cards, then you would get 5 points. If it's the higher number of your 2 cards, you get 10 points. If it was the face-up card, you double that number. So in this case, this would be worth 20 points, because this was the card that was face-up and on top. And if you played 2 of the same number out there, because you said, I'm going to win 2 tricks, because you played a 2 and a 2, and you successfully did that, you get 25 points as a bonus. Plus your score from the triangles. And then you just keep playing until you get a predetermined score. The rulebook tells you to go to 200, but you can play to whatever number you choose. And that is Wimmüln. This is Wimmüln.
Wimmüln?
How do you pronounce the U with the U with the umlaut?
It's a long U.
Wimmüln. All right.
Let's see what those 2 cards are. So we know what our
the dealer. So we flip the 2 cards up. Okay.
Ooh,
so it's the lower number.
So
this
yellow.
is the trump suit.
Okay.
And you take that back into your hand.
And this
is
the
the first
card.
card that you're playing for your trick.
Okay.
Now we all are going to choose 2 cards to place in front of us in a cross, and those are going to be the number of tricks we think we're going to win. Based on
Full disclosure, I have no idea. I'm terrible at estimating the number of tricks I will win in games. So
exactly.
I'm just going to come out and say neither of these is going to be right.
Well,
we put the higher number on top.
It doesn't matter.
It does matter.
Oh, does it?
If the number of tricks is equal to the number of the lower value of your cards, you get 5 points. If it's the higher value of the 2 cards, you get 10 points. If it's the number that's face up, because whatever you put on top is the one that everyone's going to see, then you get double whatever one of those 2 that happens to be.
Oh.
And if both the cards are the same, you get 25.
I see. So we're going to reveal one of them.
So people will know one of the things you're trying to do. But it could be a bluff. You could play 9 on the top, and we will go,
wow. It's all zeros, you boys.
all right. Well, I think that one is a reasonable choice. And
I don't know. Maybe I should.
That one might be reasonable.
What is this instead?
Okay. Reveal your top card. All right. So I'm saying I might win 3. 7.
Wow. Ballsy.
If you win 0, then
All right. So okay, keep this here so it's visible to people. Yeah, all those are visible. Okay. All right. Brian, your first card was 9. That black 9.
Yeah, black 9.
Okay.
Are you going to let him win that first suit?
I am. I'm playing a 0.
is there any
Also playing a 0. Nope. Enjoy that 9.
All right, there's one trick for me.
1 out of 7. They're on the way.
All right.
Oh. going hard after the... You have all the black cards? Is that what's happening?
Maybe he does.
Wow.
All right.
2 out of 7.
Ooh, and that was the first one.
Yep, so you win that one.
3 out of 7.
Woo.
You're just going to run the gamut.
I mean, if you have just all the black cards, I guess it's possible. Well, I got news for you, Buckaroo.
Uh-oh. What's going to happen?
Oh! No. Oh, do we have the option to trumpet if you can stay with the suit? Or do you have to...
No, I assume that you have to play with the suit.
Must follow suit if possible. Highest number led wins unless a trump is played. Need not play a trump if they choose not to.
Okay. So you're at 1.
Yeah, 1. Let's get some green cards going.
Yay.
What's that?
4 is 7. We're going to try this again.
Well, it's not going to work again.
2 of your 4.
Green, you boys. Green. How about green?
What's your goal? 4. I can't let that slide.
Oh.
I gotta get my 3
Yeah,
tricks
you're up
in
to 1.
before we're out of time. Although I will go ahead and immediately lose again. You got trumped.
Trumped?
You're up to 5. I got your requisite 4.
That's my 4.
It's my 3.
Not making my 7.
I don't have a card.
Yeah. So let's just cut that last one out. Because that doesn't make any sense. So let's just do that. Who knows what's happening there?
I scored mine. Did not score that 6.
Yeah, I scored my lower of my 2 numbers, my visible. So, you can do either if you want.
I didn't do either.
All right, so my score is 10 points. Yours is also 10 points.
Good.
And yours is 0 points.
Are we supposed to play that to 200?
200.
All right, this is Calcory. Calcory is a math, push your luck memory game. You're going to set up a 6x10 grid of cards here. You'll just use the normal deck. You'll need some kind of token in player colors that you can use to mark cards after you've turned them over. In our gameplay footage, we're going to use some cubes that we have on hand. Whatever you have that will be useful for you to indicate players, you'll want to have that on hand. In Calcory, you're trying to find cards in this 6x10 grid that add up to 13. On an individual player's turn, they're going to turn over cards one at a time, trying to reach 13. So, 8. Ideally, you want to find low cards because you want to turn over as many cards as possible. Because when you score, you're going to pick up all the cards that you're using to add up to 13 or less. If you turn over 2 zeros during your turn ends immediately. You'll turn any of your cards face down that you've turned up, and your turn just ends. If you decide that you want to stop turning over cards, you can stop, mark them with your player tokens. So here, I'll grab a couple of cubes and put those down. So I've stopped with a total of 8, with 2 cards up. The next player will try to raise my total. So they're trying to get higher than 8 or get to 8 with more than 2 cards. So in the same way, they would start flipping over cards. Oh, here's another 0. 5. They're at 9, so they could choose to stop at this point and mark these cards. They have exceeded 13, so their turn immediately ends and all these cards flip face down. Let's say we're playing a 2-player game. It comes back to me, and that means that at the start of my turn, my cards are still marked and still face up. I get to remove these tokens. I pick up both cards. I'm going to score all of the cards that I've taken -1. So I'm going to take one of these cards and put them back. It's secret information. Nobody knows which card I've put back, and I can put it back anywhere in the grid that's open. I'm going to keep the rest of the cards to score. On the next turn, let's say that the other player goes ahead and reveals this 9 that they found. They'll mark it with their player color. Now, on my turn, let's say that I do find a total that is higher than their 9. Six and 7 is 13. So I would pick up all 3 of these, score 2 of them, and put 1 back. It comes back to them, and they would score these 3 and put 1 of them back. I want to show you one other thing that can happen on your turn. If I stop, let's say I just stop with this 4. On their turn, if they've revealed this 8, and they stop with 12, marking it, on their turn, when they mark this, my markers now have to be removed immediately. My cards flip face down again. And then on my turn, I'm trying to beat their 12. So Calcory is going to end when one player scores a single card. If anybody ever marks just one card, it goes all the way around and comes back to them, and then they score this. Where normally you would have to put cards back that you took when you scored cards. If it's just this one card, that ends the game. Each player totals up the number of cards that are in their stack of cards that they're scoring, and that is your total.
This is Calcory. Start turning over cards.
Ooh.
5.
Still 5. Oh, 10.
10.
Do I want to push it? I think I'm going to stop at 10.
Okay.
So if you can get closer to 13 than that, great.
Or up to 10 with more cards.
Or 10 with more cards. Which
Okay.
seems like it's pretty doable because there's only 3 cards there. 6.
Terrible.
10. You cannot possibly beat me, so you gotta go another card.
Grab 2 zeros, though, right? Oh, no, I guess if you turn 2 zeros, you're done.
14.
Huh? Yeah, so
15. I'm out.
Yeah. I want to see if you could have chosen to stop as well. I don't think you can, but
2. That's a promising start. 7. Oh no. 9. Where'd that 4 go? 13.
okay.
You nailed it. You're so good.
No, you just take the cards like you did.
Oh, you
just
take them right
take them.
away if
Yeah.
you land on
Just
13?
take them and score them.
Yeah.
Sweet.
And then you're going to put one back
put
face
the-
down.
Yeah.
I'll put the 2 back because you're going for the
Well,
high
you don't want to
score,
tell
right?
us.
Yeah.
You want to just
don't
take your
tell us which
cards
card
and then you want to
put
put
back.
something
Oh,
back.
and then
Yeah.
you guys don't know which
Yeah,
it
so
is?
we don't know which
Yeah.
to put back.
All right, well.
Yeah, you put it back wherever you want to put it.
Probably a 2.
Here's the thing. Like, when you did that, if a player reaches the same sum as already marked cards but uses more cards to get there, then this counts as an improvement. New cards are marked and the previously marked cards are turned back over.
So that sounds like your cards are just still marked at the start of your round.
Yeah. I mean, that's my interpretation of what the rules are saying.
So you take...
See, because you just scored your things and that's fine. Like, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
You scored them.
So you're just scoring yours.
And then I score mine like the same way where I
Yeah.
take 3 and put 1 back.
Yeah. And then it's my turn again.
Oh. You gonna stop there? Oh, 10.
I thought you were going to put the 0 back in there.
I did not. I don't know what the wise decision would have been, but I did not put the 0 back.
Because I thought we were summing these up later.
No, it's just total number of cards.
Oh, number of cards.
Yeah.
Ah, ooh. That
So I actually
changes
don't
things.
know what that means in terms of like what is the better thing to do.
Well,
but-
like I kept the high ones thinking I'm going to have to add that up, but if I would have known, oh, hey, it's just the number of cards
does it
total.
matter?
Yeah, because I would put that, and you guys think, oh, well, I guess by then you wouldn't think that it was going to be a 0 or whatever or
Yeah,
2.
I don't know
But-
if it matters, but whatever. The
You're
goal
turning
is
up
now
cards.
10 again.
All right. 6,
9.
9.
Uh-oh.
That's
a bust.
Bust.
Oh, that's a 9.
That's-
Well, I thought that was a 6. But
Yeah,
it's okay.
I can see why you thought that.
That's all right. That's fine. You get your cards. Like I don't mind the internet knowing that I thought that was something else and looking like an idiot because I clearly would have turned up the 9 and the 3 and just stopped. But that's fine. Okay.
And then did you put one?
Yeah,
in?
he's-
I
he
did.
did.
Oh, okay.
That's you.
Alrighty.
Hey, guess what? When 6s and 9s are on their side, it's difficult to distinguish which is the card that you're looking at. Oh, 1. Oh, 8.
8. All right, what was that? 5 at. Frick.
There's no way of knowing.
Yay!
Okay. So you take all those cards and put 1 back. Take them all and put them back.
I think that somebody is a shark.
I thought you were going to say that he was a... What's this game called?
Calypso?
A Calcory ringer.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's a
Oh,
shark. He's
I've never played this game before.
He's a Calcory ringer.
Calcory?
I think so.
7? That's not good.
Yeah, that's pretty high. Ooh, that's
9 again!
It's the same 9.
Alright. It's the same 9. Well, I'm bad at Calcory. That's what we've established.
Oh, crap.
This one right here.
Yeah, that seems true. I'm gonna see what this is.
Now there's no excuse for that.
Crap.
Like I was just now the internet knows like I was just bad. Like that was
That's you.
8.
Hey, pro tip.
oh, it's
12. Ooh, that's pretty good. Gonna stop there.
Crap. I think this is the 0.
Oh,
All right, there we go.
You did it.
And 3 cards.
I should have flipped that 9. It's just like trying to avoid it this time. This one is 7. Well, that's not what I thought
There you
that
go.
was.
That's right, though.
Hooray.
That's 13. Yeah.
Okay.
Take those and score. So I gotta do better than 3 cards for 12. Okay.
Uh-oh.
I don't think I have information about like any of these crap.
Okay, score those 3 and put 1 back.
Why do you suppose it says that this is better with 2 or 4 players than 3? No, just like, do you think there's like a mechanical reason why it thinks that it's better?
No.
Oh wait, is it my turn though?
No,
Your whole
you
turn is scoring.
scored.
My whole turn is
Yeah.
scoring.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, take those 3 and score. I'm gonna lose this game.
That's a 6.
Does the triangles only show up on the 6s?
Yes, there's no triangles on a 9.
Okay.
Or a 1. Which means in the games where you have to score things with triangles, so you're at 11, means that you want things that are sort of in the middle.
I guess I'm gonna be done there, because I don't think I know where a 2 is.
Okay, mark those cards.
Seven, 8.
Burned. Here's a question. Would you play this with your son?
Yeah, I think I would. It seems easy enough that he'd be able to handle that.
There's that 2.
Yeah.
It's 12, isn't it? Yeah.
12
so-
beats 11.
Great.
Yeah.
Already lost where this got to.
And I have to exceed yours? No, I can do the same number as long as I
If
have
you have more
more
cards.
cards.
Yeah.
Well then.
Oh no, the 0! Oh.
There you go.
Sorry, I'll wait until you put your markers down. Oh, 8.
Frick, where'd those go?
10.
So you just score those.
Yeah.
Sweet. And I put one back?
Yep.
Yeah.
What's going on down this corner? Oh.
Always
I
good.
guess you shouldn't have had that information when you put your card back. I don't think it matters. I don't think I'm gonna do well here. Let's try this corner. 10. Your number is at 12.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, good. So it's gonna be your turn just as he puts the card back.
Okay.
Eight.
Eight.
Poor choice. Poor choice.
Is that the one you just
Yeah.
flipped?
Yeah.
Dang it.
The turn before, those 7s that you flipped were the ones that I had flipped in your previous turn. And I was like, good job, Brian. Those are literally the cards that I just broke even on,
Wow.
too.
Okay. Well, that's great.
Nice. Big 15 bust. Let's see. Let's see some cards that I don't think anyone's flipped up yet. Let's see. 1, 10.
Just get out.
Whew. Alrighty. Dang 7s.
Oh boy. All right. Four.
Nice.
6.
Actually, that like scoring that 9 and 4 like sucks because you just get one card to your
Yeah,
pile.
it's rough.
It's like actually worse than like what you did.
Yeah.
7. Alright.
Okay. So the same thing that happened to me.
Yeah.
Huh?
Like you get just one card.
Just one
out of
card.
it.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate. Um, 8. Oh, good.
It's the best card.
Oh, good. Yeah. Love it when I just flip up 2 of the same thing.
Oh.
0.
No, 2 zeros. Your turn's over. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, hey, that means I score this and my turn's over, so I get one card. Great. All right, go ahead and take your turn.
Do the 2 zeros have to be in a row, or can you
Nah,
now
it's
pull a
just
zero?
if you
pull
flip 2 zeros. Yeah.
But you might as well pull one of those zeros each time, kind of thing.
That's 15. There you go.
Man.
14. You're out. Oh.
Just put a thing on it.
Yeah, just go 9 and be done.
You don't get any points.
Yeah, you wouldn't even score that one card. Oh, 11.
Stop.
I am just going to go ahead and score these 2.
You mean by that, you mean score 1?
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what I mean.
All right. You let me walk away with that whole 1 card.
He is.
8.
All you got to do is get one of your zeros over there. Ah, Brian.
Well, he had 11, so 8 wouldn't have helped me.
All right, it's you again, Brian, because I'm just going to score these 2.
I was accused of being a shark at one point.
And we will note that that's exactly when you stopped doing really well. We accused you of being the ringer, and
God damn it.
you then promptly stopped winning.
He's playing the long game, so he knows we're playing more of these after this, so he's like, you know.
Gotta
Hold
bide
it out.
my time.
Yeah. All right. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go 2. That's not what I was planning on doing. Oh, there's those 2 zeros.
Yep, that's the 2 zeros.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
Your turn's over.
Yeah, I forgot that your turn ends when you take 2 zeros. Good. All right. Take those 2 zeros.
I'm gonna do 1 0 and this 6 so that I score all 3 of these.
All right. Okay. 3. 3.
Ooh. Damn it.
Yep, that's over. So I go 2, and I go 0, and
11.
Just stop at 11.
Alright, that's you, Brian, because I'm just gonna score. Oh,
Are
that's
you?
not what I thought it was.
Uh-oh. That blue 8.
Let's see. Now I'm all thrown off.
That's you, Brian, because I'm just gonna
score
Bust.
this, but it wasn't the card I thought it was.
Oh, 10.
10. You're at.
You gotta get 3 cards. I'm at 11.
Right now I'm at 10, so if I flip this up, 13.
Well, I'm still up, so I don't care.
That's fine.
You didn't overthrow my cubes. 1.
6.
7. You're at 11?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's at 11.
Oh, hey.
That's 13.
All right, then. I'll take
That's
that.
not 13.
6, 6, and 1.
Yeah,
13.
13. Okay. Hey!
You score those.
All right.
Let's see. I don't know what anything is now. 5 and 8 is 13. So that's...
It's either a 5 or
Is
an
it
8.
the 5 or the 8? All right.
Okay.
I'll find out if that's the 5 or the 8.
It's the 8.
It's the 8. Oh no! I don't know what to pick. Oh, that was a poor choice.
I don't know where anything is, so
hey.
that's a good start.
10.
Oh, 10.
You gotta get 11.
Yeah. I think I know what this is. Yep, that's good.
Is that what you thought it was?
Nope. That 6 was not what I was looking for.
There you go, Brian.
Okay. Yeah, score your cards. Is that 7 what you wanted?
Nope.
Would it pair well with this 5?
Nope.
Does it pair well with that 7?
Nope. How about that 7? No. That's a 9.
Thought that was
It's not
a 6. Classic blunder.
That's how they get you.
9.
Oh, he wants that 9.
3.
Oh. There's a 6.
I've already forgotten where things were, so yeah, okay. Nope.
Score your 2.
I mean, it's your turn.
Oh, it is my turn.
Yeah.
Bah. Oh, yeah.
Score your 1 card. Now you get your 1 card.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a 9.
It isn't.
Yeah, that's the 9, not the 6. Sorry, kid.
Dang it.
So I have to exceed you.
Yeah.
So
So you need at least one more
terrible.
card.
That's the worst. I don't know where anything is anymore.
Yeah.
So, yep.
That was you?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's...
A 9.
That's a
Damn
9.
it, that's...
Yeah. Yep. That's a 9.
Well, then I'll take this guy.
Good.
13, yeah. Score that.
Yeah.
You score your 2. And it's back to you. Oh, a 3. Yeah, I don't remember like any of what's over there. I just know there's lots of 9s.
Okay, so whether that's a 7 or a 6, that busts me. Where's all these 9s?
There's a 1 out there.
Hey, whoa. Alright, what were you at? You were at 12?
Yeah.
So I have to keep going.
Yeah.
It might not be possible if there's no...
Yeah, depending on what's out
numbers.
there. It may not be possible anymore.
Hey, but it is.
So you just take those.
Yeah, take those 3 and score them.
Alright.
And then you take those 2 and score them. And then you guys both put your card back out, and then I try to figure out what I can build.
Brian, did you put your card back out?
Yeah, it's right there.
9.
Yeah, pretty shortly it's going to be just done. Yeah, I should have stopped with 9. Ooh. Flip yours back over, kid. I don't think it matters. I don't think that I can beat that anymore. 8. 8. Okay, that was not a successful route.
7. That's a lot of 8s, huh?
Yeah.
9 to your 11.
Yeah.
I think those 3 are 8s. Yay.
I didn't think that was still possible out there.
I didn't either. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, 2.
So I can't do anything. Right?
No.
Like, I just...
I'm not sure what we're supposed to be doing at this stage.
If a player only turns over one card, this remains face up with a marker for full turn, and then the player picks up that card as the pile of scoring cards, game is then over. So, like, basically,
We're just waiting for
we'd
it to
wait
be...
for him to score because, like, I can do...
You can show us the card. Oh, a 2 and a...
The
rest are too high.
Make,
Yeah.
yeah, so I can make, 10. And,
Yeah.
that's not enough, so I would bust. And then you
And then I bust.
do the same thing.
By going, 16.
So then you would score
You
your
score,
4 and put 1 back.
Put 1 back. And if you want the game to end, you would put the 7 back. If you want the game to continue, you would put a 1 back.
And then I'll just go like this.
Oh, what is it?
Oh, well, actually, I don't want to be beaten, so I'll take the 8 and stop.
Okay. I'll go. That's 7, and then I'll flip that 2, and I'll stop.
Oh, okay.
Alrighty.
Forgot the 2 existed. Yeah. Oh well. I'm pretty sure I wasn't going to lose by 1 point. So
9 doesn't win it for me.
yeah, sorry, mine should be face down, but it doesn't matter. So like, you'd go bust.
And then Sean goes bust.
Yeah. So
and then I score those
you
2.
Score these 2. Flip a card, Brian. Literally any card.
Well, I think that...
And then you can continue or you can stop.
Yeah. I guess if we all are only getting 1 card, then there's no point to ever...
No. If a player only turns over 1 card and this remains face up all the way around, then that will end the game.
Yeah.
So like,
Okay.
So if
And
neither
like,
of us beat your
yeah. So like,
total. So like he's got 9, so he's beating you. And then I have 10, so I beat him.
Why did you make the game take longer?
Because I knew that I would score an extra card.
Why? I thought we had like a pact going, right? Just like,
and then it goes all the way around twice, and I score one of these 2 cards.
All right. So Brian, it's your turn. Flip a card over.
You just gotta put one of those back.
There you go.
You want to just flip the one he just put down to find out what it is? Great.
Now he flips that 9.
Your 8 out. Yeah.
Knocks your 8 out. And then, I go bust. Oh, you get that card. Oh, you're so good.
All right, count up your number of cards.
22.
13.
21.
Oh, that one card was the difference. Eat it.
You guys could have tied and shared the victory.
So glad that I put that 2 down now and that you mocked me for my choice.
Actually, this is one of the ones where it doesn't tell you that you share the victory, so it just would have been like a giant mystery what would have happened if you would have tied for high score. Calcory. Another game you're going to find in this rulebook is for something called Rummü, which is just rummy. Rummy's been around since the 1800s, and there's not really anything in this that's particularly different about how to play the game. It's just you can play rummy with these cards if you want to, and there's a set of rules for doing that. I'm not going to explain how to play it because it's rummy, and I think that there are plenty of other ways that you could learn how to play rummy, and so there's not really much point in my taking the time to explain it to you. So that's Rummü.
What do you think about Mü and Rummü?
I think it's kind of interesting, like, when I approached this and I was like, okay, well, we're going to make a video for this, and it's 4 games in one. And I opened up our box and someone had printed out the other rule book, so it was 9 games in one, because Mü is in both of the sets. I was like, oh, well, I guess it's going to be a bunch of different ways you can use some kind of interesting, unique deck of cards.
Yeah.
And, different rule sets and whatever, and that's, I guess, commendable to try to make your game flexible. I don't know.
Extremely versatile, yeah.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay, yeah. Different rule sets for these cards. And then looking at the rules, and it's like, well, use just this deck of cards for this set of rules, and use this other set of cards for this set of rules. So it's not even that. Like, the games that are within the 2 separate collections are just all over the place.
Yeah.
So, I guess stepping back a little bit, we've probably talked before about how we feel about trick-taking games.
Okay.
Which is that could take or leave it.
Yeah.
Like,
they're a type of game.
It's not my favorite genre, and the thing I don't like about that genre is going way back to old era card games, this idea of having really convoluted rules for no reason, like just specific things that only happen in specific circumstances, and it's just like, that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Mechanically, that's just what we're going to have happen. This card, for whatever reason, is now more important than the other cards. Deal with it.
Sure.
And remember that.
Yeah.
And I certainly feel like a lot of that is happening here.
Sure.
Not in all cases, but like there are things happening on a case-by-case basis where you're like, why is that the rule that we need to know about for this game, and what's the mechanical function of it? And there is like probably a reason why each thing happens the way it does, but you're like, I don't want to deal with this.
Yeah.
So, I guess where do we begin? Do you want to like talk about?
I think we should start with the best game, Rummü.
Rummü is absolutely probably the worst game.
The worst game.
The reason why is because at least in all other cases of the 9 games present, they are something that's unique to this set in some way.
Yeah.
Rummü is just Rummy.
Yeah, just by the way, you can also play Rummy with these
And
cards.
if you really want to play Rummy, you can, but you could just use a normal deck of cards and play Rummy. Like, there's no reason to play Rummy with this deck of cards other than you can. If they were doing something interesting with Rummy style mechanics, like other Rummy style games do, like Wyatt Earp or something,
Sure,
fine. That's not what it is. It's just literally Rummy, and it's like, I'm not gonna make someone play a round of this because there's no reason to explain it. Like, if you want to know how to play Rummy, just find any other game that has Rummy mechanics in it, and that's how you play Rummy. And then you know how to play Rummü. Rummü is definitely, in my opinion, the worst game in the set.
Okay, so that's number 9. What's number 8?
Number 8 would be The Last Panther.
Okay. What do you think's good about The Last Panther? I mean, it's at the bottom of our set, so it's got a lot of problems.
It was probably one of the more easy to explain ones.
Okay, yeah, that was nice.
Because it's basically just trick taking, but like the things that you don't want to collect certain cards, and I guess the things that are bad about it are that it has kind of the potential to just last a really long time because of the way the scoring works. Because
like none of us got negative points, and it's until somebody gets to negative 200.
Yeah. Someone will always get 50 for getting the last trick, and like you could have a situation where someone takes some negatives, but then they cancel it out by getting the last trick in the next round. So it could just keep going for a really long time. And I don't know that you have a ton of agency over like what is happening with the things that you want to avoid scoring. So I do think that The Last Panther is the worst of the games that we played.
Yeah. Okay. Above that.
Mines.
Okay.
Probably the reason why Mines is the next worst is because there's that weird procedural thing where you
Mines.
Okay, you're the start player, play a card.
Mines.
Now you can take this whole trick, but you don't know what's going to be in the trick. You don't want to? Okay, the second player now plays their card. Okay, now the first player, you can now claim this trick if you want. You don't want to? Now the second player can claim this trick.
Just ridiculous.
Okay, now the third player can play his card, but he's the last player. He can't claim.
He doesn't
Mines.
get the choice. Yeah, he doesn't get a choice.
Yeah. So it's just like that's just gonna be. I don't know, it's just gonna be time consuming for no reason.
It was very odd.
The other things that are happening are like that you can match a number of the first card that was played instead of just suit, and the lowest valued card wins. That's not really particularly compelling or interesting or different in a way that I care about.
Sure.
So like the only reason that one gets bogged down is because of the extended process of how each trick would play out.
Yeah, and that being its only real mechanical difference that's very interesting.
And then the scoring was kind of like, oh, did you get the highest sum of cards? You get 2 points. No, 3 points. Lowest sum,
2 points. Middle,
Somewhere
1.
in the middle, 1. If you were between those, oh no, not middle, but like second highest gets
second
1.
highest, yeah.
And then the middle would get nothing. All right. I don't know that you have a lot of control over what other people play trying to get sums of cards. You can kind of control it, but I think that's why mechanically it's kind of awkward to have someone say Mines and they're trying to collect high cards, so everybody then plays low cards and makes them unhappy. So I think it's a game about making people unhappy. Safarü, I think, would be the next one.
Okay.
Safarü is kind of just math.
Yeah, just lots of, can you make 17? No. Can you add? No.
Can you pair?
Can you pair? No.
You can do all of those things on your turn if you can.
Yeah.
And then at the end, did you take zeros? Well, that's you're gonna lose points for those. And count up your triangles.
I don't know that any of us ever took multiple.
I don't think any of us took multiple actions.
I don't know that
we might have been able to, but you don't. Yeah, it's fine. I don't think it was really a problem. Safarü is not a trick-taking game. I wouldn't say. I'm not really sure what it is. It's math.
It's a math game. Yeah.
And then you can play Reverse Safarü, which is
Oh.
even worse, I think, where you like can play a card, but then if it can do multiple things, then the person to your left chooses which thing it does.
Yeah.
So it would just take longer.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then, like,
I'd
sorting is a
forgotten
little
that
bit
was an
different,
option.
'cause there's, so, yeah, Safarü would be worse than Meinz if Meinz didn't, like, waste your time so much, because of the just being a math thing and, like, barely even relevant to what's going on with the other games in the set.
So why is Rummü the best? Where were we?
Wimmüln.
Okay, Wimmüln.
Wimmüln is the one where you say how many tricks you're going to take.
Oh, yeah, where you put the cross out in front of
Yeah,
you, right? With
yeah.
the one face up and one face down, and you score. Oh.
Some points if you do the smaller of the two numbers, more points if you do the larger of the two numbers, double that number
If it's the visible one.
or if they're both the same number of card, then you get the most points.
Yeah.
I think that's alright. I think it'd be fine if it were a mechanic in another game with like more things happening.
Sure.
As a game by itself, that's the only mechanical thing happening, I'm not interested. But like,
Okay.
if that were a phase or something you did, like in the middle of some worker placement game or whatever, like now we're doing trick taking for this thing and you've got
Sure.
these goals that you have declared what you're doing and people have the chance to block you from doing your goal while someone else is trying to do their own. It's interesting. I feel like it's not interesting enough on its own.
Okay.
But it is at least more of a game than
Safarü.
Yeah. Nyet
Okay. Nyet
has the board.
Has
and
the board,
tokens.
which is pretty interesting. I don't think I've ever played another game where you're bidding on the trick, on what the trump cards are going to be for a trick taking game. I don't think I've seen a game that does that. I know that you talked about a couple of games that have that kind of rotating
Sort of like rotating goals.
goals kind of mechanic. Yeah.
But I don't feel like you necessarily like democratically elect what thing is going to be the goal, like player by player. I think it's more like this is the goal for this round. Now this is the goal for this round.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to have like that little bit of information gathering that you learn about the other player's hands and what they obviously don't want. What they seem to be trying to make happen. Or if they're just like doing random stuff, which is probably what you were doing, but
I mean, I think like it's maybe it takes too long in terms of like the setup before you actually end up playing the game.
Sure.
That you've got things like the points and setting the value of what tricks are worth in that round, and it's like the 4 makes a lot of sense if you think you've got a really good hand. The -2 makes sense if you've got a really bad hand, but the ones in between are kind of just why would anyone like pick those? So I feel like those are just the last things that anyone would care about unless you're just like stalling for time and you want to see what other people cover up.
for sure.
I don't know. Yeah, it's all right. I think like the general sense we got from it is that it would be a better game with more players.
Yeah, I felt like scoring didn't work well in the 3-player game. That
It's just more likely to end up in a situation where someone has like all of a color or something with
you
fewer
just managed to
points.
run away with a bunch of points.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like the 3-player game would have been better off if we had each just scored individually rather than it being set up.
We're
for
on the
teams.
same team,
Yeah.
and you're playing by yourself, but you double your points.
I think it would have just been perfectly fine for us to just capture zeros from anyone and just play that game as individual players rather than a team versus one person. I don't know, though.
Would you play Nyet again?
I thought Nyet was, good enough as a game that I would play it. I'd be really interested to play it with 4 people. If I was going to play it with 3 again, I would probably not want to do that team thing.
Well, Nyet is the only game of anything in the set that can be purchased on its own as a separate game with its own artwork and everything. So I mean, that's kind of like the question you asked is like, would you recommend people like just buy Nyet? If you feel like the other games aren't like worth their time or whatever, if you feel like Nyet is good enough on its own to purchase on its own.
Yeah, I'd say you'd have to look at like the artwork for Nyet and decide if you felt like you liked that artwork more than you liked what's happening here.
I feel like it's like communist animals or something like that.
Well, that sounds great.
That's
Who
what I
wouldn't
feel
want
like.
that?
I think that's what the most recent edition of it looks like. Sticht is the one where the start player knows information about what the two trumps are, and then we draft cards that we're going to have in our hands. And we also
first
have
we draft goals, yeah, and then you draft cards, and then you pick a goal, and then you play normal trick taking with whatever the hidden trump information was. And then you do it all over again.
And whoever had the information doesn't get to score his own goals. He has to score someone else's.
Someone else's if they don't do it. There's a lot of stuff happening in that for, like a lot of kind of interesting things happening in it for a trick-taking game to me. I really like that idea of having that hidden information that kind of goes out slowly as people are drafting cards. I also really like the idea of the person who had all the information not being able to score their own goal, that they're trying to score someone else's. But they also have to prevent you from doing it. So I thought there was some interesting stuff happening gameplay-wise in it.
Yeah. My feeling is that the setup is a bit long for what is happening there, especially the card drafting, because like we tried it out with just like dealing out 4 cards at a time at random instead of setting them all out on the table and just drafting those one at a time. And I think it more or less accomplishes the same goal, and we just move faster. So
it was definitely faster. I felt like there was a little less time to plan out like what I thought was going to happen, which I appreciated in having all the cards on the table. But up to, you as a people playing the game.
I would say that the thing about the goals, choosing your goals and which one you're going to score and trying to prevent other people, that's really similar to what Dragon Master and Indulgence, and I guess even older Coup-to-to, they have that sort of thing going on. And whether or not I think that I'm not sure which one does it better. They're kind of just different.
Sure.
And I wouldn't necessarily say that one is a stronger game than the other one. So
probably a case where you want to look at like what theme or what art you like more.
Yeah, I mean, Indulgence is, Renaissance people, and Dragon Master is kind of like that neat old D&D-ish artwork from the 80s. I would say that probably, they're comparable. And
sure.
They do different things. But like if you really want to play something like that, but you don't have Mü, Indulgence is probably like easier to acquire because it's relatively recent.
Sure.
Or if you play this and you really like what the mechanics are going on there with the goals, then go look at Indulgence because
it'll be more of that.
It's more of that, yeah. And then you decide which one you like better. The game that we thought was the best of all the things we played was Calcory. No.
Oh.
Calcory. The
memory math game.
The memory math push your luck game.
Wow.
With no trick taking at all. I think that's just, there's compelling things happening there.
Sure, I agree.
The scoring is strange because like the most efficient thing you can do is get 13 on your turn.
Yeah, with like a lot of a lot of cards.
A lot of cards.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, because even if you know where the numbers are, you might not want to score specific numbers because if you just score 2, you're only going to keep one of those cards.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's also going to take a whole round to get back to you before you get to score that card. And that's time that the other people are doing things. So there are compelling things happening with the scoring. And and the push your luck where you can choose to stop at any point or keep trying to get a number closer to 13 or you bust. And
yeah. There's definitely, a lot of interesting decision-making happening in it. I don't usually like games that are mostly math, and I felt like that one was pretty interesting.
Can you add to 13?
Yeah.
Good job. That's the math. My argument against it might be that you can just play with a normal deck of cards.
For sure.
Make one of the face cards, or
I mean, the 10s would be the 0s, and aces would be 1s, so you just have to set up the right number of cards in the deck.
Yeah. Like there'd be it would be different because, like, this deck is a little weird that there's multiples
of some numbers.
Multiple 7s and 0s, I think. So you'd kind of just like tweak it a bit, but I think you could easily play that with a normal deck of cards if you wanted. It'd be fine. I guess that is when we circle back around to trying to talk about how we think of the thing as a whole. I don't know that this is worth buying just for Calcory being like the most compelling game to me. Like, I wouldn't buy it just for those rules.
Yeah, for sure.
So
what about Mü? This game that we didn't play.
Yeah.
What happened?
Mü is the only one that's in both sets. Mü, one rule book says that it's playable with 3 and up, and the other one says you need at least 4 players. I was pretty sure that meant that as a 3-player game it was going to be terrible. So I wasn't even going to try to do it, and also we had already done,
8.
Yeah, we'd done enough that we were just, not going to keep going and try to do one more. It was going to take us like another 30 minutes to do that. Based on my reading of the rules and rereading of the rules, I think that Mü is everything I don't like about trick-taking games.
Okay.
It's convoluted and hard to explain why we mechanically are doing various things. Like you find ways to, make someone becomes a chief and someone becomes a vice. The chief gets a partner and they're trying to score together, and you might have this like standoff of something else happening, but it might not happen, and then they're the chief and their partner are trying to score a number of points based on the number of people playing the game, and it's like there are things there that if that was like the only game you wanted to play, like you just want to play this one card game and play it over and over and get good at it, fine, you could, but like you could do that with any like old traditional style card game.
Sure.
And it falls into that category. If you like old traditional style card games that have weird complicated rules that are like complicated first, but then like once you get a handle of them you like know what's going on, fine, it's probably a game you might check out. I looked at those rules and I was like, I don't think that this is something that I would ever want to play.
Sure. Which
is not really the reaction I had with most of the other games. I was like, I would at least give this a shot. But Mü was, I was just like not even interested in trying to do a sample game of it with 3 people. So I'm not saying it's like, obviously like I haven't played it, so I can't say that it's like it's a bad game. I'm saying that like it has rules that are difficult to explain to people in a way that makes it like
cohesive to teach somebody.
Yeah, like I don't think that it's, I don't know. Like, I don't think it's a good selling point because it's the game that's in the title on the box. And I think it probably would be somewhere in the middle of, like, the games that we played.
Better than Safarü, but
yeah, better than Safarü. Probably not as good as, well, man, maybe comparable to, like, Wimmüln is just, like, Wimmüln. Wimmüln is just, like, easier to teach. I would probably rather play Nyet.
Okay.
Nyet seemed like it'd be totally fine as a game.
Sure.
So it's probably, again, like
4th. Right there around like 4th or 5th, yeah. Okay. I guess
artwork.
Yeah,
I think the artwork is good. It's the same, old version of Elfenland and things like that. That artist, I generally like that artwork. So it's got an identity to it. It, it's colorful and the only thing that's weird is when the rules tell you about like gathering the most unicorns or hedgehogs, and you're like, what now?
Yeah. There
Then
are unicorns on these cards?
Look and see that there are, in fact, unicorns on the blue cards.
Oh, these are different. These are different suits. Yeah, it's not at all clear at first.
Yeah. So the art is good. Card quality is good. The board is for Nyet is fine. The tiddlywink tokens for Nyet are kind of
tiddlywinks.
Yeah, they're plastic garbage, but And
it all comes in a pretty good box.
Yeah, I mean, like,
not crazy big and like reasonably organized.
Yeah. I guess my feeling about, like, in terms of, we're going to talk about rating, I don't really know what to rate it because, like, I'd rate every game differently, and I don't feel like sitting there and trying to rate every single one because, like, can't even really do that. But my ultimate feeling is that there are maybe 3 of the 9 games that are, like, worth playing across separate rule sets, unless you just want a ton of trick-taking games all in one box, which, there's something to be said for that, like, look at all these different things I can do with this set of cards, but it's not that as well because of the, like, some cards are only you only use this deck for these couple games, and
Nyet remove the green cards and
use this board and tokens, and so it's somewhere around average, I guess. Like, if I'm comparing it to my other, like, the trick-taking games I've played, like, I think Cobra's is a much better game than anything that's in this box.
For sure.
Which, like, since we made the video for Cobra's, we actually have, like, introduced it to new gamers and be like, oh, actually, this is better than what we initially rated it. And
because we played other
It's a rare game that the rating has gone up since then.
Yeah.
I think that it's been a long time since I played Chronicle, but I would probably rather play that than most of these games. It's probably on the same level as Indulgence. So, there are some trick-taking games here, and you can play them, but I don't know that they are particularly astounding.
Okay.
Comparative to other trick-taking games.
Would you say, is it maybe worth going and buying Nyet if you thought that looked like a game that you would like?
Yeah, I mean, maybe. Like, I wouldn't go buy it because I don't think that it's... I think that I was talking with Bryan about this, how I think that mechanic of, like, choosing the trick would be interesting if it were within the structure of a bigger game.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that...
don't know what that game is.
I don't know what that game is.
Yeah.
But, like, I think as the way I feel about, like, most trick-taking games, like, the mechanics by themselves are not enough to interest me to just, like, this is the game I want to play with people, It's like, there are so many games you can play, and playing a game that's just, like, numbers and colors on cards is generally not my scene. So,
okay.
But it is plenty of other people's preference, so, like, I'm not here to bash it if people are really into Mü.
Well, that's Mü.
And more.
Lots more.